Hacemos nuevos amigos como el que os voy a presentar ahora. Él ha formado parte de mi 1988. Ayrton Senna. ¿No es una monada? Ahora tengo una pregunta. Todos están emocionados, pero seguro que no más que yo. Me cuesta hablar ahora que es mi amigo. Soy amiga de Ayrton Senna. Ayrton, ¿qué quieres para Navidad? ¿Qué regalo de Navidad?
Lo que quiero de verdad no puedo decirlo aquí.
¿Por qué no?
Sería censurado, pero solo quiero la felicidad.
Dímelo a mí. Feliz Año Nuevo. Feliz 1990. Feliz 91. Feliz 92. Feliz 93.
La temporada de 1989 fue algo menos armoniosa que la anterior. Ambos pilotos alcanzaron un gran nivel de agresividad, sobre todo cuando competían entre ellos.
É curioso que em inglês o teammate é traduzido em português para companheiros de equipe. E eu por várias vezes usei o termo inimigos de equipe. Porque se você tem dois pilotos, como foi o caso do Ayrton e do Prost, como companheiros de equipe, é inevitável que acontecesse uma disputa interna.
As a journalist and as someone who was in a TV production meeting every weekend talking about what's the story, we loved the rivalry. We loved it on the track, in the garage, and in the motorhome afterwards.
Ron was really behind Ayrton, but I understood that very quickly. It's a business. For him, it's a business. And I always understood, when I was with Nicky, he was really half and half, I would say, at the beginning, and then suddenly he went obviously behind me, because I was the new generation, and Ayrton was, when I was with him, the new generation.
You know, throughout their periods at McLaren, they always had equality. We would go at some points to quite extreme lengths. I mean, engine choice, for example, once we'd determined which two engines were going to be used for the race, then it would be literally a sort of number out of a hat routine. We'd put the two engine numbers, you know, in some sort of container, and then the drivers would alternate. This was probably, this was trying to eliminate the view that Honda was selecting which engines went to whom. But it was, you know, there was a degree of paranoia because it didn't need much, like a slightly better engine or slightly better setup. That would determine who won the race and who became world champion.
When it was Prost versus Senna in the same team, you know, the romantics would certainly go with Senna, and the pragmatists would go with Prost. And Senna could be a bit cruel about it, but there was some truth that Prost, you know, was one of those who made excuses quite a lot, which you never like to hear from racing drivers. You know, you'd rather they just fessed up, you know, car wasn't good enough, or I wasn't quick enough on the day, you know, or, you know, that's the way things go sometimes. But Prost would tend to go into the minutiae, or why the car wasn't good enough, or things had worked against him, or, you know, and it was, that can, even though, you know, every element of the explanation, you know, might have truth in it, somehow it's unattractive. You don't want to hear it, actually.
Yes.
Entonces es cuando saltan chispas en un equipo. Cuando los ingenieros dejan de compartir información. Cuando los pilotos empiezan a mirar a ver quién recibe qué. Y Ayrton, con su amor por la verdad, no estaba tan preparado como Alain Prost para enfrentarse a un nuevo reto: la política en el deporte.
Senna, Prost, Prost, Senna. El orden en la parrilla de salida siempre es uno u otro. Están en guerra entre ellos porque el piloto francés Alain Prost cree que su compañero de equipo ha sido desleal. Y este enfrentamiento podría tener consecuencias para el resto de la temporada.
Carrera a carrera se iban distanciando. Él decía, este francés es duro. Quiere guerra. Poco tiempo después rompieron definitivamente. Ni siquiera se hablaban.
Y el hecho de que el presidente de la FIA, Jean-Marie Balestre, fuera francés, ayudó a Alain porque eran amigos.
Well, remember Jean-Marie Balestre was the man in charge when Senna was denied the chance to win the Monaco Grand Prix in a Toleman when he was, a novice in Formula One. And Balestre was a very divisive figure, very confrontational, argumentative, autocratic, very autocratic. And Balestre was in charge still in charge in the late 80s and right through to the beginning of the 90s, when Prost and Senna had their famous collisions at Suzuka. And Balestre was the man who attempted to sanction and suspend or whatever Senna, who felt that he was being discriminated against, probably with some justification.
Mr. Balestre had the room beside me also on the other side. And I enter into the room and Balestre is there, and he came into my room and we had a talk, And don't forget that I had a very intense collaboration with President Balestre for the safety. But Ayrton was convinced that it was a conspiration, and the story start like this. And I'm very sorry about that. Yeah.
Quiero que den la bienvenida al presidente de la FIA, el señor Balestre.
Por favor, caballeros. Todos los conductores del mundo los están viendo por la tele, porque creen insensatamente que son un ejemplo. Es un gran error, pero ellos lo creen. Lo repito, nada de riesgos innecesarios hasta el final del campeonato del mundo. ¿Queda claro? Ahora depende de ustedes.
And for me, the race was very simple. It was very, very clear that I was quicker. And believe me or not, but I was playing with him during this race. I was really fast. I knew that he normally could not overtake. But I said to Ron and Ayrton 2-3 races before Suzuka, because every time Ayrton tried, especially at the start, to overtake me, I opened the door, because I did not want to have a crash. I always said to them, from now, no way I will open the door anymore. We are fighting as a, I don't take care about the team spirit. I fight for myself.
El campeonato está muy reñido. Senna tiene que ganar el Gran Premio de Japón para mantener sus opciones en la última carrera. Prost sabe que si Senna no termina la carrera, será el campeón de Fórmula 1.
va en cabeza. Prost hace una mejor salida. Este choque favorece a Prost. El accidente beneficia a Prost. Si todo acaba aquí, el título es para Prost. Lo único que le vale a Ayrton Senna es vencer o vencer.
It's difficult to make the people, when you are pro Senna, that you say, okay, it's done not on purpose. To be honest, I don't care so much, because I promise you I did not do it on purpose. But I did not open the door, which is very, very different, especially to this corner. But if you are not a racing driver in this corner, knowing the track and knowing the chicane, you cannot judge. So it's a waste of time to try to explain this situation. It is my opinion. It's a race incident, especially when you are fighting for the championship, knowing that if I wanted to open the door, I could not make the chicane myself.
It was a little bit less than not yielding. There was a level of aggression, and that caused cars to collide, which was, let's say, motor racing. But really it was then what unfolded which was just so wrong.
Pasa Nannini para ponerse en cabeza. Senna sigue en boxes. Senna regresa a la pista muy lejos de Nannini. Va a ser prácticamente imposible. Se lo juega todo o nada y quedan 5 vueltas. Será una carrera suicida para Senna si quiere conseguirlo.
Prost vio a Senna reincorporarse y fue directamente a hablar con los comisarios de carrera.
Nannini es primero, Senna segundo. Senna lo fuerza, bloquea a Nannini. Senna lo adelanta. Ondean las banderas brasileñas, todos están en pie. Ayrton Senna, bandera cuadros. Senna lo celebra en su coche. Se golpea el casco. Ayrton Senna de Brasil. Visiblemente emocionado, se abre la visera y se limpia las lágrimas. Ha sido una victoria fantástica, como jamás había visto.
I went back to the pits and I saw Ayrton, pushed by the marshals and start again. And obviously I was not that happy, and that's it. I went into the garage. I had a very strong argument